I'm gonna have to set this up. Comments while I drive the of the news in DC right now. Just figuring that people I gotta figure out a better way to set this up. Alright, it should be good by now. But I'm gonna readjust the camera. Just a second. Soon. Oh, got that connected. Oh, okay. That's probably a good position, actually. So yeah. I've been thinking about the bonus march lately from 1932, and I even looked it up and watched a documentary on it just to be sure of what I'm talking about. And so I just want to make a little comparison with the fact of the matter is that back in 1932, after World War I, all the veterans wanted their compensation and the government wasn't giving it to them. So they turned around and marched on Washington, D.C. You know, it was all peaceful and whatnot, and it's a part of American history. But they were all veterans, and it was called the Bonus March. And I remember learning it in history class in middle school, and I think that it's a very important topic. Herbert Hoover for it mostly, like the typical story, but there was more to it than that. Pretty much, like, you know, because there was MacArthur, Eisenhower, and Patton present for the whole operation. And what happened was that they were labeled as an insurrection, sort of, and then they sent the military after them after a while because they voted against the idea of giving them their rightful compensation. So what the sad part about it is how many people died, and how, like, they were all veterans, and they were actually marching for something like getting compensated for fighting in the war, and they deserved the money. So all I'm saying is that it's crazy how different America is today, and Sorry, driving. But pretty much like, jeez. The comparison that I'm making between right now and the bonus march is the fact that there's literally people with a foreign national flag, pretty much you name it, wearing masks and being in just complete disrespect for, the White House and the country. Will be on the Capitol and all that, and they were peaceful and they didn't do anything wrong, and they had every right to be, they had they wanted their payment for fighting in World War I, and a lot of them were gassed by mustard gas in the fights. And not only that, but this is also one of these events where black and white American men in the war kind of started to have a bit of respect for each other, and they were working together and soldiers together. So they fought together, and and then they, they kind of, at least that's what it was saying in the documentary. And for sure, it was, I guess it was the first time in America that the blacks were working with their whites in a war as the full, so that's what they were acting like. But yeah, so I just find it funny that back then Patton himself and MacArthur and Eisenhower, they slaughtered and massacred and gassed those soldiers right there where all this is happening today. But today they don't even do anything about, they don't even arrest people who were bashing against the gates and being very disrespectful and vandalizing what I would assume to be for any normal person it would be federal crimes, but apparently because they're they're anti American, so you get away with it in 2023, which only 10 years from now would be a decade. It would be a decade. It would be a century ago that took place. And I don't know. So it's like, I would say never forget about that. Never forget about the bonus march and about the fact that they all died for wanting to be paid for fighting in a war that they were promised the payment. And, and they died. A lot of them. And I posted on it on my community tab, the documentary. So the point is that according to what our country is supposed to be doing, according to the rules and all the protocols that they would have against, like, it's basically insurrection for the whole idea of a bunch of, a bunch of freaking uh, Palestine supporters with holding foreign national flags, bashing on the gates and painting and vandalizing, regardless of the reason. Because if they wanted to, if they wanted to protest a certain point, they could easily do that without being disrespectful vandals. So the whole point is that the protocols would dictate that even veterans, old veterans, from it's happened, and there's footage, and they, you know, and they act like MacArthur disobeyed orders and that's how it happened, but it's still what happened. And it was still because it was the capital and because it used to actually mean something. So anyways, I'm gonna